kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and this is Our World of Darkness. Today we're going to be continuing on our journey with young Eric the Brujah in Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. See how far along our little Eric is. I think we're going to go ahead and try to get to that Tremere today. Sophie's mention of a vampire clan of blood sorcerers sparked your attention. One of them, Agathon, could potentially be your instruction into the bizarre powers of the Tremere. Introduction. Reading. Ugh. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they're infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices to homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtaposition doesn't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East tinges. Music seeping through the cracked speaker mounted above the entrance. It's much more quaint than you had expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in pressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratches her tattooed neck, and finally she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile. I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind the floral curtain that covers the back door. A bi-speckled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in. Follow me. Don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind a curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor, as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong, too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff it becomes more apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. Ooh, Aizling. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aizling Sternbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You are Eric, correct? I have to say you're lucky. The ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. That's quite a mouthful. It might sound fancy, but that's because there's a well-established tradition behind it. One you'd be wise not to ridicule. Some might take offense. Me, for one. What is it that you're here for? Sophie suggested that I should meet Agathon. She said he's quite knowledgeable. Did she now? Aizling looks you up and down. Her contestant seems unchanged, but you can tell she's judging what you said. That's new. Suddenly, a man enters from the side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aizling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Let me introduce myself. My name is Eric. I've been told you might be interested in teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. For what? I could assist you in your work. I can be quite helpful, knowing I can count on someone to return the favor. Is that right? He seems to consider it, then turns to Aizling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? She looks you over, as if judging your worth. It takes her just long enough to make you feel uncomfortable. When she takes her eyes off you, she addresses Agathon. Do you feel like you need assistance in your task, my child? I am confident I can do it on my own. He pauses, hesitating for a second, but I do believe it is important enough to warrant outside help, even if one for a single night. Another brief moment of hesitation. Of course, the details would remain between you and I, sire. Agreed. On all points. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aizling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates it, if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there's anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. The research sounds pretty important. What's it about? A single glance at Aizling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. It's important to us, and that's all you need know. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Sure. I'll join you. Very well. He gives Aizling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Eric, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await this return and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind the wheel. Somehow you expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that, or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So, the High Regent is your sire. Did I get that right? Yes. He seems to be thinking of the right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a handful of us kindred in New York, so you seek me out specifically. Why? I've been told of a few younger vampires that I should meet. You sounded like an interesting guy. Interesting. I see. Once more, he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead. I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens, and you see that there are only a few guests left sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week, if you wish. Hey, we're not one of your regular customers. In fact, we're location scouting for a movie. We'll just take a quick look around, and we're gone. No, I'm sorry. We're not interested in being featured in a movie. I will have to ask you to look elsewhere. I would suggest Smith and Walensky, or the 21 Club. Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. It won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course, no problem. Please, come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual, and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a nice place, very highbrow. Lots of old, expensive-looking furniture, and private rooms to discuss any sordid business one discusses when you're rich. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, A window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved as with acid. God damn it, Juno. Who's Juno? How about I tell you some other time? He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time, half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool, and takes out a curved knife, cutting into his own arm. He lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his flesh oozes the deep, red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found its stomach churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand he sheaths the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, cross-legged, closed eyes. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he was looking around or listening in on conversation. The smoke glows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices, and then suddenly the door opens slightly and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he just gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him away before he can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand in between the cracks of the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. We can go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a right at Continental Army Plaza, back onto the bridge. You're just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone. But what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance. And you seem capable enough. So, I'm guessing you found what you came for? Sort of. Enough to continue the search, at any rate. That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. You drive the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take long for you to reach the warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly once again, lost in his thoughts, hopelessly so. One of these nights, you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows? If you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. This caught my attention. There's a sleazy reporter from a gossip magazine sniffing around Sophie's haven. She could use your help with the problem. The streetlights filter through the apartment in the stark white glow, as if someone were shooting a movie outside. The art pieces display a tasteful, expensive, entirely fitting the image you have of Sophie. It feels as if 1,000 sins have been committed in these premises, most of them under her benevolent hospitality. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her head. You understand that people judge me based on how you dress, don't you? Sophie looks at your clothes as if resigned to your sartorial limitations. I've tried to dress inconspicuously because of the masquerade. That's very sensible of you. I suppose I should commend you for that. Sophie walks to the window and looks out, the street lights playing on her features. She reminds you of a queen contemplating the unfortunate limitations of her subjects. You'd think that as a vampire, at least we wouldn't have to worry about vultures of the press. Unfortunately, when you have power and ability, there are always parasites trying to feed on you. Is there a reporter after you? Yes. A terribly persistent creature. Sophie steps away from the window and settles down on the sofa. A wine glass with red liquid in it. Blood treated as not to spoil. You become good at noticing the scent, even from a distance. She doesn't offer you any, as you cautiously sit down across from her. This awful man has been stalking my apartment with a camera. He's gone through my trash. Talk to the neighbors. Please be a dear and explain to him that there's nothing for him here. Is this about the masquerade? That's a big deal for us, right? Indeed. You're learning. This must happen often. How do you usually deal with it? Everyone has their own way. Sometimes the problem goes away with a bit of money or a sharp word. Other times you need something more. Do you know anything about this reporter? Man, woman, young, old? Anything like that? All gossip reporters look the same to me. Time for you to go. I have business to attend to. You leave the apartment as Sophie disappears into another room. You don't have a clear idea of the game she plays with the city's mortals and immortal power structure. But she always seems to be making a move. Outside on the street, there's a slight, warm drizzle. The kind that gets under your clothes and makes you want to take a shower when you get back to your own haven. No reporters immediately jump out at you. You start with the basics of detective work. You ask the proprietor of the bodega around the corner, the homeless man sleeping in a nearby doorway, and the doorman of another building, whether they've seen anyone strange. Detective work produces results. You get the description of a man who sounds like a reporter. Older, overweight, pasty, and in bad physical condition. Professional camera. Once you know what you're looking for, it's not difficult. You spot the man who matches the description and follow him. You enter an alley, a dark, dingy space between two tall buildings. Once upon a time, a place like this might have worried you, made you think of muggings and violence. Now it's clear that the most dangerous thing here is you. The man you're following seems to realize this too. He holds his camera in front of him like a shield. It's a heavy object, resting on his paunch. With a start, you recognize him. You remember the face, the shaded sunglasses from the picture next to the byline in some trashy paper you were reading to kill time. Something about celebrities, scandals, sex. His name is Frank Dougherty. You saw him on the street one time, with a camera outside a nightclub, probably waiting for someone important to come out so he could take their picture. Hey, you go around scaring people like that? Wow, you're Frank Dougherty. I'm a huge fan. Love your work. Thank you. It's nice to have one's work appreciated. What are you reporting on? I'm not sure you can help me. Well, perhaps you can. Do you live here? I'm working on a story about a local resident. Her name's Sophie Langley. Everybody knows her in high society circles. She's a redhead, pretty as a picture. And there were a lot of pictures of her through the years. That's the thing, in fact. Look at this. Frank pulls out his phone and starts showing you pictures. Some of them downloaded from news sites, while others are photos from the society pages of newspapers from the past decades. All show Sophie. She has different clothes, hairstyles, makeups, names, but the face remains the same. They're all hot. Other than that, I'm not sure. Come on, look at the face. It's always the same. You must have a theory about what's happening. I have a theory or two. But before I print my theory, I need facts to back it up. 3 words: extreme plastic surgery. All the celebrities do it. Only her doctor is better than the rest. You look critically at the photos on Frank's phone. Sure, I guess. If you find who the surgeon is, let me know. I could have some work done. You're right. Makes no sense. Damn. So, how would you explain it? You consider the possibility those pictures are a hoax? Sure, anything can be a hoax. But I dug up those old papers from the archives myself. I gotta have something usable. The powers of the blood make kindred fearsome killers. Looking at Frank, you decide that you can administer this beatdown without help from your undead nature. This was the wrong moment to develop professional pride. You punch Frank in the mouth. Perhaps the most important thing about your new vampiric existence is getting used to the violence. You have to hunt. Defend yourself. Frank falls down to one knee. This is not defending yourself. Please don't! You smack Frank across the face. You feel his perspiration sticking to your skin. Blood wells up in his mouth, and you have a sudden urge to bite down and drink. Sophie probably wouldn't have appreciated a corpse in the alley next to her home, so you restrain yourself. Frank's on all fours on the wet ground. You pick up his camera and casually fling it into a wall. The telescopic lens breaks off. Oh my God, please don't! I'll just say it you some more. What do you say? Frank staggers upright and runs out of the alley as best as he's able, leaving the ruined camera behind. But you look after his receding figure, wondering if he'll have the courage to return. Oh, looks like we need to rest again, kindred. Any new words in the dictionary? Yes. Regent. Every chantry has a regent. The regent is responsible for the tutelage of the other Tremere in the domain. While the regent may not teach them personally, she must endure all Tremere are being educated. The regent's other duties extend to the clan's protection in the domain, and sometimes its representation on the Primogent Council. The chantry, a traditional name for Tremere headquarters in a city, usually part shelter, part library, and part laboratory. All right, well, I do believe that is where we will leave off today. So, I hope everyone is having a good evening and that everybody is enjoying this story. If you do enjoy, please like, If you know somebody who might also enjoy it, share. And if you want more content, subscribe. Voivode Maquette presents Our World of Darkness. Thank you very much. Good evening.